Did you know that the carrier ingredients for fire ant prevention in Australia is corn grits and soybean oil? Yeah, bit of an eye-opener.
Never gonna stop now, baby.
Well, you're probably wondering why the thumbnail is me holding a tissue blowing my nose. Yes, I have another cold. However, it's not as bad as it was a few months back. It is actually going away quite quickly. And even though it's all like up here in the head, it's like sinusy and head. There's nothing in the throat, there's nothing on the chest. Um, it's going away relatively quickly, but there's no aches or pains. Excuse you. Uh, Motorbike. There's none of that regular sort of when you're feeling unwell. There's none of that. So I'm going to put that in the plus column, just so we're clear. Happy about that. Uh, I wanted to talk about friendships today. Oh boy, they're a funny thing. That there are so many different levels of friendships, and you know, it's hard to, when you've got all that fog going on and the wheres and wherefores, trying to sort of navigate what's going on with friendships and what brought you together in the first place. And like I said like if you go to my rock bottom video, I got dumped by a friend through SMS. That was a barrel of laughs. Not. I can confirm that being dumped like that, yeah, nah, wasn't fun at all, and it did in the end. But it has sort of left me a little bit guarded where IRL friendships are concerned. I have very few IRL friends. Like, the circle is so small, it's tiny. There's a difference, though, between dealing with friendships that are IRL and dealing with friendships that are online. I find that the friendships, let me just talk about the friendships that I have got because of the carnivore community, they are significantly different. They are kinder. Uh, there's a level of understanding. I can't explain it, but I have got for myself some very, very valuable friends in the carnivore community that I'd be lost without. I speak to them every day. We support each other, and they are just phenomenal. I'm not going to embarrass them by naming them, even though I'd love to, but I'm not going to do that because I love them too much. I respect their privacy, and me, of all people, is going to understand privacy. You may think I don't, but I really do. But then you've got the friendships, like, I mean, I'm excluding family, of course. They're a different kind of relationship and kinship, friendship, blah, blah. I'm talking about those that are outside of the family. I've got the likes of Adrian, who, bless my poor husband, who's been trying to sort of reach me for such a long time. He loosened the lid, so to speak, and then Adrian comes along, not only loosens the lid, but rattles the cage. And I remember at the time how I utterly hated him for it, but as the time has progressed, I am so thankful for it. And it takes a real friend to be able to do that, to risk the friendship in order to save the person who needs to be saved, even though they don't want to admit it. I was like, no, not happening here again. Blah, blah, blah. Chucked a total tanty. The friendships that we have from when we're quite young, my mother always used to say, Mai, when paths change, interests change, And that's nobody's fault. That's just life. And that's what my mum used to say about some friendships. You've got some that'll be with you for all your life. I mean, I maybe have one or two that I've known since I was very little, and that was an opera relationship. I knew the family because my mother sang with their father since they were like 18 and 16. So if you hear scratching in the background, that's the cat trying to get out. Such a tartlet. Anyway, uh, so there was always that sort of, we always knew each other. The families always knew each other because of the singing. And I'm still in contact with them to this day. And that would be about it. You know, the daughter of this singer that my mother used to sing with, you know, I've known since I was like, oh golly, 7, maybe even younger. So we're looking at 50 odd years here. Woo, it's a long time. And it's the sort of friendship that, you know, I could not talk to her for years and years and years. And that has actually happened. And yet when we do finally talk, it's like no time has passed, like none. I love that kind of thing. It's great because we can just literally pick up where we left off. But there are just so many different friendships that come and go. And, you know, when you've got that fog, you're trying to sort of navigate how you feel about people who leave your life, come into your life and leave your life. And when you get some clarity, you sort of tend to, I can only say from my experience, like in 6 months, so many things have occurred to me. Like I've been talking about the opera community quite a bit. There are aspects of it I just don't like and I've got no time for. And, you know, I have the unique opportunity to be able to distance myself from it in a very big way because I need to do that. Because my life is not about that 24/7 anymore. I don't live and breathe that part of my life like I did when mum and dad were alive. And I never will because that particular scenario is never going to be available to me again. But what I can do is enjoy future artistic visualizations and audible wonders, be an audience member, but be an audience member knowing what happens in the background to get to the point where they're standing on the stage and singing the roles that they are singing. To be able to appreciate what goes on in the background, to me, is like leveling up. I'm happy with that because so many buy their tickets and they sit there going, so entertain me, without any regard for what goes on behind the scenes, the rehearsals, the music, learning the language, learning the music, and learning the movement, the production, and navigating all the occupational health and safety. Let's face it, I have a very deep understanding of how that all works, and I'll be able to enjoy it knowing everything that they've gone through to get to that point where they're standing there. You know, it's it's crazy to me that on and off for the last 4 months, I've been trying to explain to certain individuals what I'm trying to do for me, bearing in mind that I started at the beginning of the year, my husband standing there, my 2 kids standing there. So just so we're clear, I'm doing this carnivore lifestyle for me. I'm not doing it for you, or you. I'm not doing it for anyone but me. I am going to be selfish about me. I'm not doing it for any other reason. That's it. The buck stops with me. I'm doing it for me. And they're over the moon that I have that attitude. My poor husband's seen me go through so many different lifestyle changes where diet is concerned. And it's always been for other reasons. It's never worked. Never worked. Really, just didn't. So, you know, and that stance of I'm not cooking anything that I can't eat. Too bad, so sad, sucks for you. Don't care. just to have that kind of stance, it means everything to me to be able to have that kind of confidence even before I started. And even though to these certain individuals in the opera world, I made it clear that I needed to work on myself, the last 4 months they just kept coming at me, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore with them. You know, you can only explain yourself so many times before it just becomes noise, and you're like, why am I bothering? And then you think to yourself, I shouldn't bloody have to explain myself anyway. The fact that I want to do something for my own health should be enough. But then on the other side of the scale, you've got those that are trying to drag me in to a world that I'm not going to be a part of to that degree ever again, because the reason for it doesn't exist anymore. Like I've said, my mother and father will always be a great part of my life, but they're not going to be the consuming part of my life. One of the things I have had to learn is to motivate myself. My mother, I've said for years, my mother was my greatest motivator. And when she died, I had to learn how to motivate myself. And I failed miserably, miserably. And then you've got this last 10 years where I was just in an absolute pit of hell. And, you know, just before I started Carnivore, I stopped uploading to my mother's opera channel. And because I was done. I had, for the moment, done what I needed to do. The stuff that I put up there, I'll put the link to the channel down here, and I'll give you some examples with particular reference to what I'm saying. There was 2 videos that I did that I wanted to try and basically put to the music what I remembered as a child with the photographs, the many photographs I might add, that I had, and add some sort of movement to those to create kind of like a production based on my memory as a kid, to give those people who had never seen that production some kind of an idea of what it was about. And then there was another one that I did, which was not so much about that, but more about growing up seeing these 2 men who produced that particular opera and paying homage to them, because they enabled me to have a wonderful childhood, to see that process from the beginning and to see it between these 2 guys who were producing this monumental opera, Wagner's Ring Cycle. Adrian said something in a message to me last night, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, that's what I was doing. In addition to the exposure therapy that I did over those 16 months, I was also, in a way, saying goodbye to that part of my childhood in order to move on. I was in that process of accepting that that is no longer the consuming part of my life. Now we move on to the next phase. And as, I don't know, but isn't acceptance one of the stages of grief? And yet, in the last few weeks, I have been made to feel like I'm not allowed to do that. That I have to, where my mother's project is concerned, that I have to let it consume me. That I have to let it be as the be-all and end-all of absolutely everything that is all my life. Not going to happen. I know that when I start transferring my mother's stuff, I'm going to be doing it just to save it and digitize it, to stop any further degradation on the media that they're recorded onto, or the paper or whatever it is, the programs and all of that, just to save them. But, you know, there has to be a point where you sort of like go, no, this has to be done on my terms. I do it because it's on my terms. I'm not going to do it in a way that you think I should do it. I'll do it within the time frame that I've got. My priority is this channel, you guys, my lifestyle, and everything that I've learned, plus more that I'm going to learn in the future about health. That's my priority. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday will be dedicated to transferring stuff of my mother's. If something crops up that's carnivore related, then I'm sorry, Mum's going to have to wait. That's just how it is. It would possibly be hard to understand that friends would do that to somebody to make them feel guilty about not being in a world that has on occasion upset you and bullied you. Because at the end of the day, we're all adults and I'm making choices about my life. With emphasis there on my life. My mother and father are dead. They are not here anymore. Would I like them to come over for a cup of tea? Oh, hell yeah. Is that going to happen? Nope. Is there any need for me to try and replicate being in that world again to the degree that I was when my parents were alive? No. No. There is no need. I am able to fangirl over other artists. I don't need to fangirl over my mother, and I don't need that to be the driving force. It's as simple as that. When they did the ring cycle up here in December, I was all over the place. All I wanted to do was go, and it broke my heart that I couldn't, because I wanted to enjoy it. But I couldn't. Hence, one of the reasons that led to carnivore, because I wanted my life back so that I could go to the opera and experience that again. But friendships need to understand the changes that one has to go through in order to make those things happen. If they're not on board, if they're going to guilt you and make you feel like crap, then I have a problem with it. I really do, regardless of the situation. No one has the right to make somebody feel like crap because they maybe don't understand the indoctrination of a lifestyle change that is quite controversial. Not my job to explain it. Do some research and figure it out for yourself. Apart from the fact that I've got a cold, I'm doing fine. My health is getting better every day. And the fact that I am on carnivore is probably the explanation as to why I'm not feeling the full symptoms of a cold anyway. Just saying. Friendships are very hard to navigate sometimes. You try to figure out where you stand. I mean, at the end of the day, who has time for high school antics? I know I don't. I'm too old for that. And you have to live your life on your terms. I've had to get to this age to figure out what those terms are. And the thing is, if you really want it, you'll fight hard, and I'm fighting hard. I'm fighting hard. Like I've said before, eating meat is easy. It's the other stuff that's hard. If people can't respect me for the decision I've made about what I put in my mouth and what I actually nourish my body with, then bye. If you're not going to try to understand it, do some research yourself to figure out why it is that I'm doing what I'm doing. If you can't be bothered, bye. I don't have time for petty crap anymore. I don't have time for people making me feel like crap because of the decisions I'm making about my own life for myself. I don't have to factor in my mother and father anymore, and that's the end of that. We need to move on. We need to move on a bit. I have. So you've got to let me go. You've got to let me. I'm entitled to have my own life. I've paid my dues. So did Mum and Dad. It's my turn now. And if that sounds selfish, too bad. I don't care. I've accepted it. If others can't, that's on them, not me. And as harsh as that sounds, I don't know what else to add. I'm just tired of people telling me what to do when I know what I've got to do. I know what my moral obligations are. I know what my duties are. So if people are going to try and tell me what to do, then I guess we have to go to plan B. And we get to do this my way or not at all. And whatever that encompasses is what it encompasses. So that is my video for this week. Friendships are hard work sometimes. But you got to ask yourself, is it worth it? If you've got to work that hard, oh my God, if you've got to struggle to stand up for your own life and the choices you make for your own life, what the heck? It shouldn't be like that. Not in my opinion. This is just my opinion. I'm not saying that what I'm saying is gospel or law. This is just my inner musings of what I've been thinking in the last few days. It's not been great because there's a lot going on. And when I've got external factors guilting me, yeah, I have a problem with it. I really do. I'm too old for high school. I just think some people need to pull their heads in. They really do. Because I'm done with this battle. That part of my life is gone. Now we level up and go into the next phase. And those that are struggling with that fact, like a parent, you're going to let me go and let me have my life. I've just got to have my life. I am not continuing my life like this. It's not happening. And I will do anything necessary to ensure that I have a quality of life of what I've got left, so that I can enjoy it the way I want to, not anyone else, the way I want to. I'm entitled to do that. My life choices have to be on my terms, and that's just the end of it. Same with you. Same with you. Make it work. Do it. Don't mess around. If you really want it, do it. But don't think it's going to be easy, because it won't. When you figure things out and figure where you stand in life, and you're going to start going against the grain, yeah, you're going to come up against some opposition. It's what you do when you come up against it. Yeah. That's fun. Not. Anyway, on that note, I am going to tell you to please be kind to those around you. Protect your peace. Don't take any crap. I certainly haven't this week. And be kind to yourself. I love you guys. And see you on Monday, where it will be 6 months since I started carnivore. Take care, guys. Mwah!